welcome back. Or if this is your first night here, if you've stumbled into this quiet corner of the internet looking for something you couldn't quite name, welcome to Sleepy Voyage. I'm glad you're here. I can see it in the way you found your way here, past midnight, maybe, or in that strange quiet hour before dawn when sleep refuses to come and thoughts grow too loud. You're carrying the kind of tired that lives in your chest, in that space behind your eyes where tears gather but won't quite fall. You've been strong for so long, held it together when everything wanted to break. But tonight, you don't have to do that anymore. Here, in this small corner of quiet, you can finally let your shoulders drop. Let yourself be exactly as tired, as lost, as human as you actually are. This is your permission. This is your refuge. You are safe here. There's someone I want you to meet tonight. Someone traveling through the winter darkness toward a place they thought they'd lost forever. A small town covered in snow, where lights glow golden in frosted windows and the air carries the scent of pine and memory. It's a story about finding your way back to what you thought was gone. About discovering that love doesn't keep score of your absence. That home waits, patient and unchanging, for the moment you're finally ready to return. Before we begin this journey together, I want to invite you to make this refuge permanent. Subscribe to the channel, and you ensure that on nights when the world feels too heavy, when sleep seems impossible, when you need someone to sit with you in the darkness and remind you that morning always comes, this place will be here, waiting. If tonight's story brings you even a moment of peace, let me know. Your presence here matters more than you know. So settle in now. Let the world outside fade. And come with me to a place where snow falls softly, where home has been waiting, and where the heart remembers what it means to belong. The bus moves slowly through the winter landscape, its headlights cutting pale gold tunnels through the falling snow. Outside the window, the world has been reduced to white fields stretching endlessly beneath a sky the color of slate. Small towns appear and disappear like memories, their lights brief and warm before the darkness swallows them again. The road ahead curves gently, following the contours of land that knows these rhythms. This seasonal silence, this particular kind of December hush. Inside the bus, warmth hums from vents near the floor. The engine provides a low, constant rhythm, a mechanical heartbeat that never falters, never questions where it's going. A few passengers sit scattered throughout the rows, each wrapped in their own private worlds, their own reasons for traveling on Christmas Eve. No one speaks. The quiet feels intentional, sacred somehow, as though words would disturb something fragile and necessary. He sits near the back, his coat still buttoned to the collar despite the warmth. His hands rest on his lap, fingers loosely intertwined, and he watches the snow with eyes that have learned to see beyond what's immediately visible. There's something about the way he holds himself, a stillness that suggests waiting, a patience that comes only from years of absence. The town sign appears first as a dark shape against the white, then clarifies as the bus slows. Millbrook, population 3,847. The numbers haven't changed since he last saw them, and somehow that matters. Somehow that small constancy feels like the first thread of belonging, fragile but real. The bus pulls into the small station, and he's the only one who stands. The driver nods, a simple acknowledgement that requires no response, and the doors hiss open to let in a gust of December air. He steps down onto pavement, dusted with fresh snow, and the bus pulls away behind him, its red tail lights fading into the white veil of evening. The station is little more than a covered bench and a single street lamp casting amber light onto the snow. Beyond it, Main Street stretches away, lined with storefronts dressed in Christmas lights. Wreaths hang on doors. Garland wraps around lampposts. In the windows of the old hardware store, strings of colored bulbs blink slowly, their reflection shimmering on the icy sidewalk below. He adjusts his bag on his shoulder and begins walking. Each step crunches softly in the fresh snow, a sound that carries in the stillness. His breath comes in visible clouds that dissipate quickly in the cold air. The temperature sits just below freezing, that perfect winter point where the cold bites gently at exposed skin but doesn't overwhelm, doesn't make you hurry. The town is exactly as he remembers, and somehow different. The bakery on the corner still has its green awning, though the paint has faded. The pharmacy next door displays the same wooden sign, weathered now by years of seasons. But the coffee shop where he used to study is gone, replaced by something new he doesn't recognize. Time has touched this place, but lightly. Time has been kinder here than he expected. A dog barks somewhere in the distance. A car passes slowly, its tires hushing through snow, and the driver raises a hand in greeting, though he doesn't recognize the face behind the wheel. Small town courtesy, that automatic warmth that doesn't require familiarity. He raises his hand in return, surprised by how natural the gesture feels after so many years of city anonymity. The clock tower at the center of town chimes 6 times, each note clear and resonant in the cold air. The sound carries across rooftops and down side streets, marking the hour with gentle authority. Around the square, more lights glow. Someone has strung white bulbs through the branches of the old oak tree, transforming it into something luminous and otherworldly. Beneath its branches, a nativity scene sits in peaceful arrangement, the figures half covered in fresh snow. He stops at the edge of the square and lets himself look, really look. The fountain in the center still trickles despite the cold, a thin stream that hasn't frozen yet. The benches wear caps of white. The gazebo where the summer concerts used to happen stands empty but patient, waiting for warmth to return. Everything holds that quality of suspension that winter brings, that sense of the world holding its breath between seasons. A memory surfaces unbidden. Summer evening, music floating across the square. His mother's hand in his, pulling him toward the ice cream stand while his father laughed and followed, the taste of vanilla melting on his tongue, the feel of grass beneath his bare feet, the certainty that this would always be home, that leaving was impossible to imagine. But he had left, years ago now. Left and kept going, kept moving, kept putting distance between himself and the weight of expectations he couldn't carry. The silence had stretched, first weeks, then months, then years. Phone calls unanswered, letters written but never sent. The distance had hardened into something he told himself was necessary, was freedom, was growth, until the envelope arrived 3 weeks ago. His mother's handwriting, still elegant despite the slight tremor age had added. Just a few lines. We miss you. The house feels too quiet. If you can find your way home this Christmas, we would love to see you. No pressure, no guilt, just invitation, gentle and open as a door left unlocked. He turns down Maple Street, and his pace slows further. The houses here are older, Victorian-era homes with wraparound porches and gabled roofs heavy with snow. Lights glow in every window, amber and welcoming. From somewhere comes the smell of wood smoke, rich and warm, mixing with the clean scent of winter air. A wreath hangs on nearly every door, and through one window he glimpses a Christmas tree, its lights twinkling in steady rhythm. The house appears gradually as he rounds the final curve. He sees the oak first, The massive tree in the front yard that he climbed as a child, its bare branches now holding snow in their upturned palms. Then the porch with its white railings, the blue door his father repainted every few years, the windows, each one glowing with that particular quality of light that means home, that means warmth, that means someone's inside waiting. Smoke rises from the chimney in a steady column, dispersing into the darkening sky. The wreath on the door is fresh pine. He can tell even from here, bound with a red ribbon that hasn't faded. Someone has swept the porch steps recently. The rocking chair still sits in its corner, though a light dusting of snow covers its seat. He stops at the edge of the property and simply looks. His heart beats harder now, a rhythm that has nothing to do with the walking and everything to do with what comes next. 7 years. 7 years of silence. 7 years of phone calls he let go to voicemail, of holidays spent alone in city apartments, of telling himself he was building a life while slowly realizing he'd been running from one. The front window curtain moves slightly, and he sees a silhouette there, watching, waiting. His mother, he knows without needing confirmation. She's been watching for him, perhaps for days, perhaps since the moment she sent that letter. The curtain falls back, and a moment later the porch light flickers on, casting warm light onto the snow-covered steps. The door doesn't open. She's giving him time, he realizes. Time to decide, to breathe, to take this last step at his own pace. The gesture is so perfectly her, so characteristic of the quiet understanding she's always offered, that something in his chest loosens. He walks forward. Each step feels weighted with meaning, with the accumulation of all those absent years. The gate opens with a familiar squeak, metal against metal, a sound he'd forgotten until this moment. He closes it carefully behind him. The path to the door is only 10 steps, but each one carries him further back, further toward the person he used to be, the person who belonged here without question. He climbs the porch steps, though it's solid beneath his feet, reaches for the doorbell, then stops. Instead, he knocks. 3 soft raps, knuckles against wood, the sound somehow more intimate than a bell's chime. The door opens slowly. His mother stands in the threshold, backlit by the warm glow of the house. She's older than his memory held, her hair more silver than brown now, lines deeper around her eyes. But those eyes are the same, that warm hazel that always saw more than he wanted to reveal. Her hand comes to her mouth, covers it briefly, and when she speaks, her voice carries everything she hasn't said in 7 years. You came home, single quotes, not a question, an acknowledgement, a blessing. I came home, he says, and the words feel like the first true thing he's spoken in longer than he can remember. She steps back, and he enters. The warmth of the house surrounds him immediately, wrapping around him like an embrace. The smell hits him with force. Pine and cinnamon, coffee and wood smoked. Something baking, probably the cookies she always made on Christmas Eve. The scent catalogue of his childhood, preserved perfectly in this place that never stopped being home, even when he stopped believing it. She closes the door behind him, shutting out the cold and the snow and the weight of the journey. For a moment, they simply stand in the small entryway, looking at each other. Then she reaches for him, and he lets himself be pulled into a hug that feels both familiar and strange. Her arms around him, the top of her head barely reaching his chin, the faint scent of her perfume, unchanged after all these years. It's been so long, she whispers against his coat. I know, he says. I'm sorry, don't. She pulls back enough to look at him, her hands still on his arms. You're here now. That's what matters. His father appears from the living room, moving more slowly than he used to, one hand braced against the doorframe. Seeing him stops something in time. His father's hair has gone completely white. His shoulders curve slightly forward, but his eyes, when they meet his son's, hold the same steady warmth they always did. "Son," he says, and the single word carries more weight than a speech. "Dad." They don't hug. His father isn't that kind of man, never was. Instead, he crosses the entryway and grips his son's shoulder, a firm pressure that speaks its own language. Welcome, relief, love that doesn't require declaration. "Let me take your coat," his mother says, already reaching. He shrugs out of it, hands her his bag, and she carries both away down the hall, leaving the two men standing together in the warm light of the entry. "How was the trip?" his father asks. "Long, quiet, best kind for thinking." Yes, the conversation could be stiff, could be awkward, but somehow it's not. It's simply sparse, economical, the way they've always talked. His father gestures toward the living room, and he follows, stepping into the heart of the house. The room looks exactly as he remembers. The same worn leather couch positioned to face the fireplace. The same braided rug in earth tones covering the hardwood floor. The same bookshelf crammed with paperbacks and photo albums. But what draws his attention immediately is the Christmas tree standing in the corner by the window. It's real, a Douglas fir that reaches nearly to the ceiling. Its branches heavy with ornaments collected over decades. He recognizes so many of them. The wooden train he made in shop class in 8th grade. The glass ball with his school photo from kindergarten sealed inside. The star he'd cut from cardboard and covered in glitter when he was 5. His mother has kept them all, hung them all, year after year, even in his absence. Lights glow steadily throughout the branches, casting patterns of color on the walls. Beneath the tree, wrapped presents sit in careful arrangement, their paper crisp and their bows precise. He wonders if some of them are for him. If she's been buying gifts through all these silent years, setting them aside with hope. The fireplace crackles gently, logs settling as they burn. The flames cast dancing light across the room, creating shadows that shift and sway. On the mantel above, garland drapes in gentle swoops, interspersed with pine cones and red berries. Photos line the surface, family pictures, his grandparents, long gone, his sister at her wedding, and one of him, younger, smiling that he doesn't remember being taken. "Your mother refuses to let me use artificial," his father says, nodding toward the tree. "Says it's not Christmas without the smell." She's right, usually is. A small smile touches his father's face. "Sit, you must be tired." He lowers himself onto the couch, and the leather creaks in welcome. The cushions remember his shape somehow, molding to his weight with familiar comfort. His father settles into his armchair, the one with the worn arms and the slight lean to the right. Between them, the fire continues its quiet work, transforming wood into warmth, into light, into the kind of peace that requires no conversation. His mother returns, carrying a tray. 3 mugs steam gently, and he catches the scent of hot chocolate, rich and sweet. She sets the tray on the coffee table and hands him a mug. He wraps his hands around it, feeling the heat seep into his palms. "Thank you," he says. She sits beside him on the couch, close but not crowding, picks up her own mug and cradles it. They sip in silence, the chocolate warming from the inside, melting away the chill of the journey, of the years between. The clock on the wall ticks steadily. Outside, snow continues to fall, each flake adding to the accumulation, transforming the world into something hushed and holy. Through the window, He can see neighbors' lights twinkling across the street. A car passes slowly, its headlights momentarily illuminating the falling snow before disappearing down the block. "Your room is ready," his mother says finally. "I keep it that way, just in case." Single quote, something in his throat tightens. "You didn't have to." "I wanted to." She looks at him then, really looks, her eyes searching his face. "You look tired." "I am, not just tonight tired. Deep tired." He nods because there's no point in denying what she can already see. She's always been able to read him, always known when the words he spoke didn't match what he carried. "The city," he says. "It takes more than it gives. Then why stay?" The question isn't accusatory. It's genuine curiosity, the kind that opens doors rather than closing them. "I thought I needed to prove something, that I could make it on my own. That I didn't need," he trails off, unable to finish. "Didn't need home." She supplies gently. "Didn't need to be the person everyone expected me to be." His father shifts in his chair, the leather creaking. "We never expected you to be anyone but yourself. I know that now. But I didn't then. I felt." He searches for the right word. "Trapped. Like the person I was supposed to become here was too small for what I thought I wanted. And now?" his mother asks. He looks around the room, at the tree with its accumulated memories, at the fire casting its warm glow, at his parents, older now, but still here, still steady, still offering the kind of love that asks for nothing in return. "Now I think I had it backwards. I thought leaving would make me bigger, but it just made me more alone." His mother's hand finds his, squeezes gently. She doesn't say anything. She doesn't need to. The pressure of her fingers speaks what words would only diminish. They sit together as the fire burns lower. Outside, the town settles into its Christmas Eve stillness. Lights glow in windows up and down the street. Smoke rises from chimneys. Somewhere in the distance, church bells begin to chime, marking the approaching hour. "Would you like to see your room?" his mother asks, eventually. He nods, sets down his mug, and follows her up the stairs. Each step creaks in the same pattern he remembers, a wooden song that never changed. At the top, she turns left down the hallway. His old room sits at the end, door slightly ajar, light spilling through the crack. She pushes it open, and he steps inside. Everything is exactly as he left it. The same blue curtains, the same desk pushed against the wall beneath the window, the same bookshelf crammed with paperbacks and textbooks. His baseball trophy from 10th grade still sits on the dresser. His old sneakers still rest in the corner, laces tied together the way he always left them. But it's been cleaned, dusted, cared for. The bed is made with fresh sheets, the comforter pulled tight. On the nightstand, she's placed a small lamp and a glass of water. The window is cracked just slightly, letting in the cold winter air he always needed to sleep well. "I'll let you get settled," she says. "We'll be downstairs if you need anything." She moves to leave, but he stops her with a word. "Mom." She turns back, eyebrows raised in question. "Thank you for everything, for not giving up." Her eyes shine with something that might be tears, but her voice stays steady. "You're my son. There's nothing to give up on." There never was. She closes the door softly behind her, and he's alone in the room of his childhood. He moves to the window and looks out. The snow has intensified, falling thick and fast now, covering the yard in fresh white. The oak tree stands dark against it, its branches holding snow like offerings. Down the street, Christmas lights blink in steady rhythm. He turns back to the room and begins to explore. Opens the closet and finds his old jackets still hanging there. Pulls open the desk drawer and discovers notebooks from high school, their pages filled with his younger handwriting. On the bookshelf, he finds yearbooks, photo albums, boxes of memories his mother has preserved. One box catches his attention. It sits on the top shelf, slightly dusty despite his mother's care. He pulls it down and carries it to the bed, sits cross-legged with it in his lap. Inside, he finds letters, dozens of them, all addressed to him, all in his mother's handwriting, all with postmarks spanning the 7 years he was gone. He opens one at random. The date puts it at 3 years ago. Christmas Eve, like tonight. My dearest, another year has passed, and your stocking still hangs above the fireplace. Your father says I'm being foolish, but he doesn't mean it. He hung it himself this morning, before I even came downstairs. I wonder where you are tonight. If you're warm, if you're happy, if you found what you were looking for. I hope so. I hope the distance has given you what you needed. But I also hope you know that whenever you're ready, this house is waiting. Your room is ready. Your place at the table is ready. We are ready. All my love. Mom. He sets the letter down and picks up another. Then another. Years of words written to him, even though she had no address to send them to. Years of love offered into silence. Years of patience and hope and steadfast belief that he would find his way back. Something breaks inside him. Not painfully, more like ice cracking in spring. Something frozen, finally thawing. He sits, surrounded by evidence of love that never wavered, never demanded, never stopped waiting. And he realizes that all the distance he put between himself and home didn't make him stronger. It just made him further from the people who loved him exactly as he was. A soft knock at the door pulls him from his thoughts. "Come in," he calls. His father enters, moving slowly. He takes in the scene. The letters scattered on the bed. His son sitting among them. Understanding crosses his face, but he doesn't comment. Instead, he moves to the window and looks out at the falling snow. "Big storm," he says. "They're calling for 6 inches by morning." "Dad." He waits until his father turns to look at him. "Why didn't you tell me about the letters?" His father considers this. When he speaks, his voice is quiet but firm. "They were your mother's words, her choice to write them. Not my place to tell you about them. But you knew. Of course I knew. She wrote them at the kitchen table every Christmas Eve for 7 years. Never sealed the envelopes because she had nowhere to send them. She'd write, then put them in that box. Then we'd have our cocoa and go to bed. Why? Why would she keep writing when I never responded to anything?" His father moves from the window and sits on the edge of the bed. He picks up one of the letters, turns it over in his hands without opening it. "Because that's what love does," he says finally. "It doesn't stop just because it's not returned. It doesn't give up just because it's hard. Your mother loves you, has always loved you, will always love you. Nothing you did or didn't do could change that." The simplicity of the statement, the absolute certainty in his father's voice, undoes something in him completely. "I was so angry," he says, "when I left, at this town, at everyone's expectations, at feeling like I had to be someone I wasn't. I thought I was running towards something, but I was just running away. And now I think I've been looking for home in all the wrong places. Trying to build it out of achievement and independence. But home isn't something you build. It's something you belong to." His father nods slowly. "Took me 50 years to learn that same lesson. Glad you figured it out younger." They sit together in comfortable silence. Outside, the snow continues its steady fall. The wind has picked up slightly, rattling the window in its frame, but the sound is gentle, not threatening. The kind of winter wind that makes indoor warmth feel even sweeter. "Your mother will want you to come to church tomorrow," his father says. "Christmas morning service. She goes every year. I'll go with her." "You don't have to, I know, but I want to." His father stands, pats his shoulder once. "Get some rest. Morning comes early in this house. Your mother likes to start Christmas at dawn, whether anyone else is ready or not." He leaves, and the room settles back into quiet. He gathers the letters carefully, placing them back in their box with the reverence they deserve. Returns the box to the shelf where it's been waiting all these years. Then he changes into the pajamas he finds folded in the dresser drawer. Pajamas his mother must have bought, hoping he'd need them someday. He turns off the lamp and climbs into bed. The sheets smell like lavender and fresh air. The mattress holds him with familiar comfort. Through the window, snow continues to fall, illuminated by the streetlight on the corner. The flakes catch the light and shimmer as they descend, each one distinct, each one adding to the accumulated peace. He thinks about the journey that brought him here. The bus through the winter landscape, the walk through the quiet town, the moment of standing outside, looking at the lit windows, trying to find courage to knock. All of it leading to this, to lying in his childhood bed, in his childhood room, in the house that never stopped being home. The wind rattles the window again, and somewhere in the house, a floorboard creaks. The old house, settling, breathing around him. He can hear his parents moving around downstairs, the murmur of their voices, the sound of dishes being washed, the familiar domestic symphony that forms the background music of home. He thinks about tomorrow, waking up on Christmas morning in this room, going downstairs to coffee and his mother's cinnamon rolls, opening presents under the tree, sitting with his parents in their usual spots, the three of them together again after so long apart. The thought fills him with something he hasn't felt in years. Not excitement exactly, something quieter, more like contentment, more like peace. The snow falls heavier now. The wind picks up a notch, howling softly around the eaves. But here, in this room, beneath these blankets, he feels completely safe, completely held. The years of distance don't disappear. The mistakes don't erase themselves, but they soften somehow, become part of the story rather than the defining fact of it. He turns onto his side and watches the snow through the window. The flakes fall endlessly, hypnotically, each one catching light before joining the white blanket below. The streetlight glows, steady and true. Beyond it, other houses show their own lights, other families settling into their own Christmas Eves. His breathing slows, deepens, the weight of the blankets presses down with perfect pressure. The pillow cradles his head exactly right. All the tension he's carried for so long begins to dissolve, melting away like snow touched by warmth. Downstairs, the clock chimes 10 times. The sound carries up through the old house, gentle and sure. His mother's footsteps cross the living room, probably banking the fire for the night. His father's heavier tread follows. They'll check the doors, turn off the Christmas tree lights, set out the cookies for Santa like they did when he was young, maintaining the rituals that give shape to the holiday. The house grows quieter. The sounds fade. Soon there's only the wind outside and the snow falling endlessly against the window. The room grows darker as his eyes adjust, but the streetlight provides enough glow to keep the shadows soft. He thinks about the letters again. 7 years of words written into silence. 7 years of his mother sitting at the kitchen table, pen in hand, maintaining connection even when he'd severed it. 7 years of love offered without demand for return. The constancy of it, the patient certainty, moves him more than grand gestures ever could. Tomorrow he'll tell her he read them. Tomorrow he'll try to find words for what they meant, what they mean. But tonight, it's enough to simply be here, to be home. To let himself be held by this place and these people who never stopped believing he'd find his way back. The snow continues to fall. The wind continues its soft song. And here, in the room where he learned to dream, where he first imagined the person he might become, he finally allows himself to rest. Not just physically, deeper than that. He lets himself rest in belonging, in being known, in being loved, not for what he's achieved, but simply for being exactly who he is. His eyes grow heavy. The room blurs at the edges. The sound of the wind becomes distant, like it's reaching him from very far away. He's barely aware of pulling the blankets higher, of settling deeper into the mattress, of his breathing slowing to the rhythm of sleep. Outside, the snow falls on covering the town, covering the streets, covering the old oak tree in the front yard, covering everything in white silence. Inside, the house breathes around him, the old wood settling, the furnace humming softly in the basement, the whole structure holding him safe through the long winter night. The last thing he's aware of is the light. The golden glow from the street lamp filtering through the window, casting gentle illumination across the room. The same light that guided him as a child when he woke from nightmares. The same light his mother left on for years, hoping he'd see it and find his way home. The same light that waited, patient and constant, until he was finally ready to return. And then even that awareness fades. The light remains steady and true, but he's no longer watching it. He's drifted beyond watching into something deeper, into rest, into peace, into the kind of sleep that only comes when you finally stop running and allow yourself to arrive. The house stands quiet in the falling snow. Lights glow in windows. Smoke rises from the chimney. Inside, 3 people sleep under the same roof, a family reunited, a circle completed. And outside, the snow continues its endless descent, covering the world in white forgiveness, white grace, white possibility. Christmas morning will come with its own light, its own gifts, its own gentle joy. But tonight, on this Christmas Eve, in this small town, in this warm house, there is only peace, only belonging, only the deep, restful certainty of being home. The snow falls, the night holds, and in the room at the end of the hall, bathed in streetlight glow, he sleeps the sleep of someone who has finally found what they were searching for all along.